Good morning, everyone. Guess who's back? It is the Afterglow Live Recap Podcast. My name is Syya, and I am the Dallas co-chair with Erin Gregor, who will be joining us a little bit later. Paige, I'm so sorry. I had to do a redo and invite you back. So welcome back.
I don't mind. I just say I wanted to come back for that intro jingle, right? I mean, while it's playing, I'm just like, do. I absolutely love it. That's why I'm back.
Well, thank you for being back. And again, thank you for being so gracious to, come back. Cause man, that last time was hilarious. Oh my God. I could not stop laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, is that just like the biggest dorkiest thing we could ever do is talk for a good 9 minutes and be like, get text messages from your friends saying, aren't you live? What's going on? Is everything okay? What's up? You know,
are you alive? What's going on?
Exactly. It's like, but you know what? It's really nice, at least for me, from a ego gratification, if you will, that you do have, friends, colleagues that are supportive of you and wanting to make sure you're successful. You know what I mean? So, woo. Okay. Yep. So welcome back.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
So Paige, just in case folks didn't see the awesomeness of the last show, let's talk about it. What is Loudmouth?
Oh, well, Loudmouth is kind of, Paige White has evolved into Loudmouth, right? So Loudmouth Online is an influencer network. It's the same thing as Paige White. I've just rebranded, changed the name. So I work with emerging small, medium, global sized businesses that have a product or service that they want to push out to millions and millions of women around the world, because my network is female only influencers. And those influencers write about the product, push it out on their blogs, their social media, and voila, we've got brand awareness. So that's what we do at Loudmouth. Loudmouth. It's so weird saying that. Loudmouth.
Two loudmouths talking right now, right?
That's right.
I'm like, right. I kind of relate to the name of your company. I'm loving it. For some odd reason, I just, gravitate towards it. So speaking of gravitating and not gravitating and some, talking about complacency and not being complacent, because I think most loudmouths tend to be aggressive personalities. Let's talk about this week's guest that we had on Global Leaders Organization, Mr. Dave McKeown. Oh, yes. My goodness gracious. So I gotta tell you, first off, I'm not gonna lie. There's something about non-American accents. I don't know, maybe because it's unusual for our ears. I perked up instantly and started listening as if there's like, this person is like suddenly Yoda and ways and much more experience. And I'm not saying that Dave doesn't have experience, but it did capture my attention. I guess maybe it's just me, but.
No, I was the same way, and I was kind of giggling at your comments in chat. I won't share those with anybody, but they were funny. And, it's true. I was listening to his voice like, oh my gosh, this guy is so insightful. And then I look at him, he's like, but he's so young. So.
Okay. Are we even allowed to say, but he's so young, but at the same time, maybe
so
not.
Accomplished.
Like, I don't. Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're accomplished, if you have a lot of experience in what it is, whatever it is that you, are the, expert on, or, just what you profess expertise on, it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, for example, one of our clients, is huge into esports. So shout out to Map Esports and of course, Esports Future Eye Podcast Network. Okay, that was a selfish pitch. We produce that network. You guys, most of the leadership in esports, for example, are not Gen X and Gen Z, or Gen Boomer. It's actually mostly millennials, and they are bright as all get out.
Yep.
So anyway, so Dave McKeown, he is a CEO founder of Outfield Leadership. He's also a keynote speaker. He's well known for his coach on just talking about leadership in general. So are we ready to dive in and talk about what our thoughts are on Mr. McKeown?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I took 3 key takeaways from Dave, and that was towards the end of the event when Michelle was asking him, give us 3 nuggets, right? And his 3 nuggets were: build a shared vision with your team, rhythm of execution, build your roadmap, and build a set of leadership disciplines. So those are the three nuggets that I really was able to get my teeth into. And then, what's funny? See, I actually started thinking back to Patty McCord when she was giving her a talk with us. And I saw a little bit of similarity with the two, but I also saw some butting heads. So it was kind of interesting to see that or hear that.
Let's talk about that. Because I too was hearkening back, and thank you with Patty McCord. Because gosh, when you listen to so many great folks, right? I really do need like a whiteboard to keep track of all the nuggets that I really like. So let's talk about this. He said, there's this notion of a visionary leader, right? And he said, you don't always have to have a North Star. You don't always have to know it all. And in that context, he said, in order to build successful teams, is that number one step is get your team together to build your common mission and goal, get their input and feedback. So let's dig into that a little bit more, Paige.
Okay. You go
what
first.
do you think what do you think that means as far as we say all the time that we're a collaborative spirit and we're going to listen to each other's feedback, but in practice, let's really think about this. You've relaunched, Loudmouth. I've got Innovation Media Enterprises. How much do we really take into other team members' inputs and insights into that mission statement or that mission goal or the corporate culture, if you will? Do we really listen?
It's really interesting. I never listened in the past. I'll just tell you straight up. I mean, it was my way or the highway. That's how it's always been for me, right? But I did something a little bit different this time with Loudmouth when I was rebranding. I actually reached out to a lot of people I really respect, people that I've worked with in the past, and then people that currently work for me. And I actually relied independently on their response to the branding, to the logos, to the new vision statement, to everything. I actually had very little input on it. And it's the first time that I've ever done that. And it was tough to let go because I just want to strangle it because it's mine, right? But I actually let go of the control, and oh my gosh, the ideas that were flying, just how to rebrand and remessage. It was actually really exciting to give somebody else control over that, something I would normally be, hovering over.
So let me ask you this though. I love that part of it because I think that the assumption being is we're coming from a good place, right? That everyone is coming from a positive place. But I've been part of a lot of this development, quarterly business annual reviews. Again, my background is in sales where, the account manager, the leader of the group would say, okay, hey guys, here's what we're sales. So we're driven by the quota. So we have a number that we're marching towards, right? But there's so much more to it. There's so much more depth and complexity to it. But you've got different teams, got different agendas and objectives themselves. It's easier said than done to say, okay, guys, we have $100 million quota. But if the individual that you're talking to has a $10,000 quota, are they really going to give more than 10,000, for their own selfish interest for the greater good of the team? So how do we really get buy-in? And I think it was his talking about that shared value and core, really getting back to the core value of it is. It's not 100 million. That might be your number, but it's not everybody's number. So that was something that just like a light bulb moment for me was, oh my gosh, I was doing this wrong for so long when I did my own business development meetings, which was, I said, here's our account, here's 100 million. How do we get there? It should have been, hey guys, we have been this successful as an as a group. Here's our competitors. How do we supersede? How do we get better impact and get deeper into this account? Should have never been a number that was about my number. Does that make sense?
It does. It certainly does.
And it was just so, it was humbling because it's like, oh crap. No wonder the team hated my guts all those years. Like when we talked about guys, we're behind our number. They don't care. They're like, my number is 10,000. I don't care. I hit mine. I'm at 100%. What's your problem? Right. And I think we forget that. We forget that what we think is a big shared vision is really just your vision.
Yes. No, I agree with you 100%.
So with Patty McCord, what I thought was interesting about her is I have a very similar personality, I think, which is, here's what we got to get done. Here it is. And it's kind of like a bull in a china shop. But I think she has the wisdom to know, okay, I'm not getting the feedback. I'm not getting the correct response. And that's the EQ thing that I think what hasn't been said that Dave didn't mention is having that wherewithal to know to step back.
Yeah. I personally, I can't see Patty stepping back from anything. She's just like, she's so amazing. I mean, I just really loved her. And it reminds me of something she said. I think it was like, I want, I want to be a comfortable, unapologetic leader. So I just really embrace that.
But I think it was founded in, she wasn't doing it selfishly. Yeah, she's a bull in a china shop, but she wasn't doing it she was doing it more for the benefit of the group, and she saw the greater good, right? Like she had mentioned, she will go and sit down with her direct reports. And sometimes, 2 levels below just to see what's going on to keep that pulse.
Right.
And I think that's what Dave was kind of bringing it back to, in my notes that I had for him was, he said, you need to get that feedback loop. And it sucks at times because you're not going to get the response that you necessarily want to hear. Right. Which goes into that second thing that he was talking about, which is, that cycle of mediocrity, right? That when you think he's like, what's he say? When you think the team is being successful, they think you're the visionary leader. So he keeps using that term, heroic. Oh my gosh. Heroic. Heroic. Oh my God. Heroic. Oh my God. I can't say it. Okay. HEROIC leader that creates
heroic leader.
Complacency. Thank you. But creates complacency, right?
Always
so
wanting to save the day.
Exactly. Because you're thinking the team is going to, can't deliver for whatever reason because you lost that pulse. Again, going back to you're not getting that pulse down. Can I share a little story? And I think that's going to help resonate why I'm like kind of active right now.
I want to hear it.
Do you mind?
Do it.
Being in corporate sales, you're in and out. You are in the grindstone talking to your clients. You're like 1 degree of separation. You're 6 inches, if you will, from them yelling at you, loving you, etc. But when things don't go well, oftentimes I would have to like pull in the cavalry, if you will, right? So we would get the technical expert in. And if that wasn't working, then we take our executive management people in. Well, yes, at times when it makes sense with the appropriate audience, it makes sense. But over the course in time, what it will do is negate your value to your client, because now you're no longer the actual face that actually can make decisions that will actually work on their behalf of their benefit, because you're no longer the decision maker. You've just negated the power to your manager, and your manager is going to assume they're the savior. And it's such a freaking cycle that I think unconsciously for me, I started to resent it, because at that point it's like, I'm the one that's, making this decision. All they're doing is just showing up and smiling and glad handing, right? Not to diminish my executives, but let's be honest, a lot of it was that. And that's how it becomes a liability, because your team is no longer motivated. Now, at that point, am I really wanting to march to the tune of their drum? And that's where his second bullet point that you were talking about leads into the third, which is lack of execution. At some point, I actually stopped bringing executive management in, because it's like, you know what? It didn't matter anymore.
So how were you doing that? Go back to me for just a minute. You were talking about, so you would make the decisions, you'd pass that down to your management, your managers, and then they would deliver the message. Is that what you're saying?
Yes and no. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it was a really funny thing is like, sometimes I would say I literally coached one manager once to literally say exactly what I said in a meeting. And then that individual repeated it in the meeting. And all of a sudden the executives were like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. And I'm sitting there going, are you effing kidding me? So, I mean, sometimes it helps, because sometimes it's another, third party, perspective, maybe the, personalities, maybe the tones, different delivery. But I can see where as a manager, you get this false sense of accomplishment as well. Right.
Yeah.
And that's where I resonated with Dave on that. The other thing that, let's talk about that roadmap, building that roadmap. So do you have an actual business, development plan, if you will, to execute towards your goal? Have you put something like that together, a flow chart or something where it's graphical?
I have, yes. I'm a very creative type, so I spend hours making sure those circles are perfect on my screen rather than document the actual strategy. But yes, I have. And like I was mentioning earlier, I think it was one of the first times where I really opened myself up to listening to everybody's ideas on what they felt would be best for the company, what direction they felt it should be moving towards. And it's really interesting. Since I like really allowed them to share honestly with me instead of me kind of like running the whole thing and saying, yeah, this is what we should do here, we should do here. I actually just like step back and just really listen to them. So that's one thing that Dave was saying that really resonated with me yesterday, because I actually did that, and it was a great feeling. Now, to be honest, I have since then gone back and changed a lot of things back to the way I think they should be done, but I'm the boss, so I have that ability to do that. But just the fact that I was able to open myself up and really listen to their ideas and consider them as opposed to just, yeah, okay, whatever.
Right. Or, and it sucks and it's hard. It's going back to that humility that, if you remember Joel Peterson, former chairman of JetBlue that was on, GLO a few, months back, is that humbleness to sit back and listen and receive that information, right? And really truly take it in and think about it, because I'm so freaking guilty of it. I know it. All of you that know me know this. I'll listen and I'll be like, yeah. And then like 2 minutes later, gone out. It's like you're not really absorbing. You're not really feeling it. You know what I mean? So like, okay, so there are some strong personalities of folks that are listening right now. And there are those that I can tell have a higher EQ. I said we had higher EQs. No, but I think everyone has if you have a good sense of your self-worth and who you are, I think higher EQ, right? And I think that's something that's needed in strong leadership and effective leadership. So if we're going to lay the groundwork and take in the input from the team to build that roadmap that's actually, everyone agrees upon the ultimate vision, let's shift over to the execution side of it then. Okay? Everyone has a role to play. Paige, how guilty are you of knowing of all the steps that need to be done and you decide you do it yourself? And you don't delegate.
For some reason, I just lost you. Can you repeat what your question? For some reason, I'm not sure. I didn't hear a word you said.
Oh, darn it. I was like all thrilled. I was building it up. Okay, girl, let's say it one more time. You are an executive leader. Let me ask you this. How many times have you, knowing all the tasks that need to be done, you know what the end result goal is, how often have you found yourself saying, I'll just do it myself and not delegate?
All the time. It's because I'm such a control freak, right? I figure I can get it done quicker. And, I already know I don't have to explain it. I don't have to spend 15 or 20 minutes explaining it to somebody. I can just do it myself and get it done faster. And you know what? It's just not true. I would have saved a lot more time had I delegated it to somebody, spent the few minutes explaining to them, what I wanted done or how to do it. And then I could have moved on to something that was more important. So yes, I'm extremely guilty of that.
I don't mean to be ill will. So I can ask the guys that are listening right now, and I apologize, I'm not able to, comment back. There's something going on in the LinkedIn feed here right now, but, Jonas is a very strong personality. And I know I see him typing right now, impatience. I just love it because Mike, who's also on, the Dallas crew here, and Egbert are more mellower personalities. I bet you, and I'm curious, even if you're mellow, if you're introvert or extrovert, we still have control issues, don't you think,
yes.
you guys?
Yeah.
And it's like you have pride and well for the people that you're working with, your clients, your colleagues, etc. But that execution part is probably the hardest thing. And I'm the worst for it. And I'm sorry, Erin can't this morning, but, I'm horrible with the hard conversations. I tried. I thought I was good at it. I thought I was giving constructive feedback once, and then I got sent to the principal's office of HR one day because apparently my feedback wasn't exactly the most inspiring. So how do you approach these constructive feedbacks, Paige?
Well, I try to remember what, I know I keep going back to Patty. This is just crazy, but she said, it's my job to tell you that you might fail. And I try to keep that in mind now every time I'm talking to somebody, right? Not that it's always I'm going into a conversation that's going to be negative or they've done something wrong, but I just try to keep that in the back of my head that, it's my responsibility to help these people be better, right? Better them.
Yeah.
Quit saying, oh, you'll get it next time, or let's try this one more time. I think I've really gone from being a little more, soft in my execution, to after listening to Patty to becoming maybe a little bit too far on the other side now, or maybe a little too aggressive. But that's kind of where I'm living right now.
And I love that. And you know what? Okay, here's another question. Do you think if you tend to be more an emotional type personality, you take it personally as far as you absorb emotionally giving and receiving that type of feedback, that maybe someone that's more, for lack of a better term, pragmatic in their approach of receiving and giving feedback?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I'd have to do a little self-reflection there. I'm not sure I want to do that.
Wait, what?
Paige is like quiet for once. It's a miracle.
What is GLO about? It's supposed to be us growing together and growing our community and, our relationships and our businesses together. What?
I know.
And Jonas, don't be, I love it. Jonas is texting back. He's like, I'm not a control freak. Yeah, you are. I can sense it. I see it in your eyes.
Wait, I mean,
I can't really see him.
Show me an entrepreneur that's not a control freak. I mean, I don't really, I mean, in some capacity.
I took a sip of coffee there and, I am not, okay, maybe I am. I am and I'm not. Oh gosh. Okay, fine. I give up. I might be something to that effect. Sure. So,
I think everybody has a little bit of that in them in some capacity.
Right. So, okay. So I'm kind of reinvigorated by, Dave's talk. And I kind of want to, guys that are listening right now and those that are interested, I'd like to run through what, and I at the time resented it, but now I've got my light bulb moment. I would like to revisit this business plan process that I went through when I was over at Hewlett Packard, which now that I'm my own business, owner, if you will, it's actually come in handy. And I think it's because I shifted my goal again away from a number that was my own selfish goal versus the greater good goal, right? So I'm going to revise. Let me revisit mine to see if it works. If anyone's interested in going through that activity for your own business, let's just workshop it together and I can explain it. It's really freaking cool and fun to do. And it does help you shape your business objectives. So when you get frustrated,
I think that's a great idea.
Would you? Yeah, I think it'd be kind of neat to do because
I'd participate in that.
Would you be interested?
I would, 100%. Yes.
All right. So Rashmi, all entrepreneurs are control freaks. Hey guys, if you guys are interested, I will be happy to walk you through. Hello, welcome, Erin. Be happy to walk you through and,
Hi.
Well, let's talk about it. So, Erin, I just assigned us a little special project. So there's this, that one form that I put together of our business objectives and goals. And it was like it's not a flow chart, but it was a graphic. We were talking about doing that as a workshop together collectively, as a group here in Dallas. So, and anyone outside of Dallas, you're welcome to join us since we're most likely doing it virtually. Erin's like,
right.
Great.
It's Friday, guys.
It's Friday.
Friday.
It's been a morning.
Oh,
well, are you okay?
It's better.
Let's just say we're the proud new owners of another camera.
Uh-oh. Okay, we'll talk. Hey, you know what? And that's a fun thing about what Dave was talking about, right? So from a leadership perspective, there are times we're going to have to pivot. There are times we have to make a rough decision. And sometimes you just have to just do it and execute. And Erin apparently pulled the trigger this morning and she's very happy about it.
I really didn't have a choice. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, I'm sorry, Erin. Okay. So was there anything from Dave McKeown that you took away? So we were talking about his three main, highlights that, Paige talked about, which was having a collective group mission, building a roadmap, and then executing it mutually and having tangible, checkpoints. Was there anything else that attracted you to his chat?
There's, honestly, my brain isn't working right now, so I can't I need to pull up my notes and they're not ready.
Hey,
I just started
got
recording.
something, you guys. I got something. One thing that's really interesting, Erin, I'd like to hear your take on this, is he mentioned something along the lines of urgency is driving mistakes, right? Mistakes in our company, right?
Yes.
Urgency with like the pandemic and stuff like that. What's your guys' take on that?
I would definitely agree. I think we have to be careful of always being in that cycle, because we're in that right now, trying to get new episodes out for this network, and things slip through the cracks when you're trying to skip steps of a process and trying to you shoot yourself in the foot when you're trying to rush and have too much urgency, I believe.
I have to say I agree, and that's one thing you, Erin, I totally appreciate. This, you guys, I get super excitable and I'm like, let's go. Let's jump off that cliff. And Erin's like, yeah, did you bring a parachute? You don't have a parachute. Do you have something to land on? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm just going to flap my wings. It's going to sound like a good time. And so there is something about those snap decisions. Yes, in some contexts they're good. In other contexts they're bad. And there was a notation here that Dave had mentioned. And I really want to mention this before we have to wrap up here, which is number one, his 5, this was actually in the VIP section with Q&A. One of his 5 subtle things from leadership, he really emphasized, you guys, is reclaim your attention. Multitasking is not attention. Okay?
It's not your friend.
It is not your friend. So how did you take that statement? Multitasking is not attention.
He talked about that start and stop and how that kills you. Like when you have to like refocus and turn, and it's so true. Oh no, you're good. You're good. It's so true how that just kills your time, kills it. And so, multitasking, although we think we're doing really awesome, we never are.
Right. We think we're accomplishing more.
Yeah.
And there's a statement that I have been trying to live by. It's not what you do or say, it's how you make people feel. And so when we're multitasking, you can tell our tones go down when we're talking and we're like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Yep. I hear you. You know what I mean?
I'm so guilty of that. Oh, wow.
I'm totally, I know it. And that's one thing, if anything we could leave, that's why I really liked that one, was pay attention and give yourself to that moment for that individual, for that moment in time, for your team, for that moment. Just give yourself 100%, because you'll never get it back from them if you never give 100%.
Gosh, light bulb moment. You're so true. Like, be in the moment during that one task or whatever you're doing. Just be there. Wow. That's, that kind of hit home for me, Syya. Just that. Yeah. Interesting.
I know it kind of stabs you in the heart a little bit. So, hey, Loudmouth, we are all Loudmouths. For those that want to get a hold of you, darling, how can we get a hold of you?
Go to loudmouthonline.com and shoot me an email.
Excellent. And Erin, let's talk about GLO.
Well, I'm going to let you talk about GLO because I have a recording right and I don't want to be too loud. That's why I'm kind of trying to talk weird. So I'm going to let you close it out.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all. So Global Leaders Organization is an organization that is dedicated to the business leader entrepreneur, where you are looking to take your business to the next level, to accelerate and to maybe perhaps get access to capital and really shoot yourself to the moon. There is, different areas of value that is, beneficial. Could be whether you want to build a bigger community, you are looking to access to capital, or if you're looking for amazing content, such as what we're talking about here. GLO does offer a weekly speaker series where we curate amazing folks that you can talk to. Michelle Placente leads that, our CEO. And let's be honest, after GLO live recap, because that's where we get to know each other as actual members and chat about what we think about. And of course, if you really, really want to take it a step further, look on the member site to see what other things that you can look at, other communities, technology, women. We have all sorts of different areas that you can invest your time and load your business in our marketplace.
Can I promote next week's speaker real quick?
Yeah, that was my
great.
step. Yeah, do it.
So, next week we've got Bruce Clay, for our Business Acceleration, 2.0, and, he is like an SEO guru. So, he kind of coined that phrase, and, we're excited to have him, share with, all our guests and members next week, why SEO is so important and what we can do to get there.
I love it. And you know what, you guys, when we are business owners, we have to multitask and we have a lot of hats to wear. Do not ignore digital marketing presence, right? Do not ignore the fact that your website is your home page. This is their retail front, if you will, if you're thinking brick and mortar. This is what they look at and see. You better make sure you are search engine optimized to have people look at you and feel that warm fuzzies. And then obviously from a, digital marketing perspective within social media, that is something else that we will absolutely, address as well. So if there's any questions, reach out to Erin, Gregor, or myself, Syya, Yasotornrat on LinkedIn, or go to Innovation Media Enterprises to figure out how maybe a podcast to help your business. Woo! You guys, that's another great week. And I believe this will be a great wrap up for the Afterglow Recap podcast. We will see ya next week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.